Hey everyone, welcome to Reviews at Ryan, and today on the channel I'm going to be talking about the brand new Marvel film, Thor, Love and Thunder. This film was directed by Taika Waititi, and he also did Thor Ragnarok, and he also directed Jojo Rabbit as well. Before I dive into my thoughts on this review, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, comment below your thoughts on this film, and also turn the notification bell so you never miss any video that I make and I post weekly. And now without further ado, let's get into my thoughts. Thor enlists the help of Valkyrie, Korg, and ex-girlfriend Jane Foster to fight Gorr, the God Butcher, who intends to make the gods extinct. The film stars Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Christian Bale, Tessa Thompson, Russell Crowe, and many more. So Thor, Love and Thunder wasn't really a movie that I was really that excited for. I did like Thor Ragnarok. It was cool to see that the same director came back from the third film. The first two films, the first one I felt kind of meh with. The second one I really didn't like at all. So Thor isn't really the most biggest superhero that I really enjoy that much. The films are just kind of okay with me. I did like the third one the best, as I said, but really, he's not really that big of a superhero that I'm really much into, so my expectations were rather mild going into this film. Christian Bale is the main villain in this story, and he was my main draw into this film. I like that we get a little bit of backstory with his character, and we get to see his powers and what he is capable of. I also did like his makeup in this. Thought they did a really good job with that. And then I also like the planet that he lives on, this black and white style. There's a part where Gorr and Thor, they are fighting on this black and white planet. It reminded me of the movie Sin City and Spirit. I really love that black and white aspect. I thought it was really different for a Marvel film. We don't really get that kind of film, and Thor is more of a colorful kind of movie, so it was cool to see that black and white aspect. Chris Hemsworth, it seems like he's really having a blast with his role. He's very much comfortable with his role as Thor, and he does a good job of playing Thor, the character, and I think his acting's fine here, so I don't have any gripes with that, and that was a positive in this film. And then the last positive that I have about this film is I do like that we get a little bit of explanation of Jane Foster and Thor and why their love fell apart and why they're not an item. However, it doesn't really have a big emotional impact for me, and that's where I get into the negatives about this film. So I was really excited to see the Guardians of the Galaxy in this film, and they are only in this film for a few minutes, so that was really disappointing because I really like those movies, and I was just really hoping that they would have some type of role in this, and they don't really play any prominent role in this, so that was a letdown. And then you also have Valkyrie in this, played by Tessa Thompson. She had a very prominent role in Thor Ragnarok. She really doesn't have anything to do here. She is a completely wasted character, and this film, the pacing of the film, it feels very uncertain where it wants to go at times. It feels very much out of place and very disorganized on how they wanted to do this film. I felt that there was way too much comedy, and not only is there too much, but there's so many forced jokes in this. A lot of the runtime is them messing around and not having a serious tone to the threat. You'll get a glimpse of Christian Bale, and we're back to comedy, and really don't really amp up his character on screen. We're talking about maybe about 70 minutes into the film, and then there's this really terrible scene with Russell Crowe. He plays Zeus in this. I really like him as an actor, but they're just messing around in the scene, and they're exchanging jokes. There's a lot of cringy dialogue, and by this point I was getting really bored with this film, and I could see that the direction of this film was just a lot of comedy, something that I really don't like in Marvel films. I don't like when there's so much comedy that we don't get a very serious kind of tone. It just feels kind of like a spoof movie, so that's something I don't like about Marvel, and I wish that they would improve on that. So yeah, I didn't like that whole portion. And then Gorr, I like his performance here, but the writing and not letting him get enough screen time, it just seems as if his portion of the film, it's not much of a main focus as it should be, and then sometimes they'll force some emotions in between, but it's almost like, oh yeah, we forgot. We have a villain that we have to kind of, build up in this film, and they don't do that. And then they'll kind of stop the comedy for a second, then they'll show flashes of Gorr, and then the last bit of scenes, the fight with Gorr and Thor, man, they're underwhelming. And it's so quick. Christian Bale, he just feels so underutilized in these fight scenes. he just doesn't seem, that established as much as a villain, but I liked his performance. It's kind of like in between mixed bag with him because I like him as this character. I know that he could have been unleashed a lot more, but they just didn't write him very well. And then also the Guns N' Roses, I like them as a band. I like the songs, but majority of these songs, they're used a lot in movies, especially Welcome to the Jungle and Sweet Child of Mine. They're very much overused, and I really didn't think they needed to be a part of this film. Overall, with the negatives of this film, you can tell that I was really frustrated with this film. I just wish that Marvel, when they make movies, that they just don't force so much comedy. A superhero movie to me, and this is probably because I like DC more, there should be a little bit more character development, especially for your villain. Your villain is your main attraction and what gets people's butts in the seats. Yeah, they like, the hero aspect, but if you don't develop your villain, the movie can be really stale, and that's where I feel this movie really fails. And it's very interesting because I think that people that really like comedy, like my wife, she really did like the comedy in this film, and she liked this film a lot more than me. I think people that really love comedy, they're really going to love this movie because there's a ton of it. I just don't like certain scenes. Like there was a certain scene in the beginning of the film where they're having this fighting scene in the Guardians of the Galaxy. This is where they have their pretty much 2-3 minute screen time. They're pretty much just messing around and telling jokes while they're fighting. I don't like that. I like the more serious aspect, and we get to see, things blowing up and, just the heroes kicking ass and, just stuff like that to really amp up the film and make it feel like it's a save the world kind of film. This just feels like a really big comedy film with kind of a weaker kind of villain. And like I said, it's kind of a mixed bag with the villain because I do like how they developed his character in a way, but at the same time, they don't develop him enough. So it's kind of a mixed bag when it comes to gore, because I think Christian Bale could have had even better performance if the writing was a lot better. My final thoughts on this film, should you go see this film? I think that you should wait to stream it. I really don't think it's that great of a film, but I know it's going to make money and people are just going to go just because it's a really established franchise and people really love Thor. But I personally would wait to stream this film. It's really not that good. Like I said, the villain could have been a lot better and they just don't develop him enough for me. And I was really kind of in the middle of what I was going to score this film. I thought maybe about a 3, maybe a 2.5, but really thinking about this film for the last few days, I would only give a score of this film a 2 out of 5. And really, I really go back to thinking about last year when they released Eternals, and I gave that a 2 out of 5. And I've actually rewatched that film, and I actually like that film a lot more than this film because I think with that film, Marvel did a lot more different options of how they wanted to do that film, and it was kind of a more fresh kind of film. With this film, this is the kind of Marvel that I don't like. I don't like so much comedy and so much messing around. I like a more serious kind of tone movie. So if you're looking for a more serious tone movie, I would skip this and wait to stream it on Disney+. But thank you guys for hearing my thoughts. As I said, a score of 2 out of 5. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next review.